Welcome to Who This On, Season 8, Episode 12, where we watch After Midnight, Season 1, Episode 15. And, I had it right here. No, I don't. Before you enter Satan's Sphincter, I'm Chris Lorenz.
I dedicate this episode to everyone who's on Ambien who physically can't change the channel. This is Brian.
Ken Jeong, and I'm not explaining it. This is Noah Singer.
Well, if this is your first time joining us, we watch a different reality show each week, discussing it, figuring out if it's good or bad. And the host is doing great tonight. Last week, we put up a poll on the Twitters, and we watched Game Changer, and you guys voted a top third show, which was not what we thought about the show, but I'm glad you guys voted. Tell us what you thought about this show on Twitter at Who Put This On. Noah, what was this show?
Yeah. Inspired by Comedy Central's Emmy Award-winning series At Midnight, After Midnight is the smartest show on television about the dumbest things on the internet. With celebrated comedian Taylor Tomlinson at the helm and a panel of guests from the worlds of entertainment, comedy, music, and beyond, the late-night comedy series features looks into what has set the internet abuzz that day with a game show feel. That's After Midnight on CBS.
And Paramount Plus.
And the
Paramount Plus.
But it's produced by Funny or Die. Funny or Die production company.
Oh.
Like two web shows in a row, kind of, you know? We had College Humor last week.
Well, we're doing this show to kind of compare it to last week's show, really. It's like the two American kind of panel shows that are like kind of game shows. We're changing it up a little bit. You know, it's not really a reality show, but it is unscripted. So, I mean, depending on who you want to believe, how much is written or how many of the jokes are written and not written. I don't know. But this show is way better than last week's show. I laughed. I was entertained.
Yeah. It was.
I felt like this.
I agree. There was a decent amount of legitimate laughing in this show. Much higher bar than last week.
Brian?
Yeah. It felt like there was no restraint with anything that they were putting on. Game Changer feels restrained now in comparison.
Well, I think the big difference is these people are funny. That's the biggest difference. And the episode of Game Changer we watched was not good. Why are you trying to get people to shoot from the middle? That was silly. Go listen to that episode if you want to hear us talk about it. I don't necessarily want to talk about it that much because it's going to be negative about it. But so this show essentially is, you got Taylor Tomlinson, which is, she's very TikTokable. So I definitely heard about her before just because of TikTok and YouTube. So I see some of her, comedy bits. She's a big Netflix comedian. She's had a big Netflix special, and that's getting plastered everywhere.
I'd say she's easily one of the top 10 female comedians in the world right now.
Easily, yeah. I mean, there's not that many, as a comedian, known for being a comedian, right?
Her, I'm looking at Google, all other women comedians, right? There's Eliza Schlesinger, Whitney Cummings, Tig Notaro, Nikki Glazer, Ali Wong. There's Maria Bamford, but Chelsea Handler, Sarah Silverman. It's the list gets kind of quick, and I think she easily punches her weight. She's a legitimate good comedian.
This is her. Well, I would argue this is probably her apex late night show. She's the host.
Yeah. Definitely.
Because
yeah, it gets you in the door of so many of the current late night hosts. Well, I mean, there's not that many, but that track record is pretty consistent. You start from the bottom and you work your way up the rank, So she's going for the Colbert slot at some point. It's great. Like,
Yeah,
It's really going for Colbert and stuff.
Colbert is going to be there forever, I think.
No. Colbert, like, I don't think he's going to be there so much longer. Like, he's turned 60 in May. That's not terribly old, but, like, if I compare it to what he's done in the past, right? He had the Daily Show. He did the Colbert Report. And this, like, he doesn't wait for it to get drawn out. Like, he didn't stop the Colbert Report when it was like, oh, man, we should stop this. And so I think he's also going to probably stop this, or switch up. He started in 2015. Like, I give it maybe 15 years top.
Maybe he shouldn't have stopped the Colbert Report. Could have prevented some history.
I mean, I think the Colbert Report, personally, I enjoyed it more than his late night show.
I've watched 0% of his late night show. So, I'm not a late night show person.
Yeah. Right. Like, it's still good. And I think, like, for his own brand, like, he will definitely hold a better place in history, which he deserves for, like, how good he is, which is good overall. But,
Yeah. All right. We're going to move on because I don't think the late night show banter is all that important to the show. So let's talk about the 3 comedians on the show. We got Nico Santos. Noah, who is Nico Santos?
He's a Filipino-American actor known for portraying Oliver Sien in Crazy Rich Asians and sales associate Mateo Liwanag in Superstore. He was nominated for a Critics' Choice Award. He's the only person on the show I have not known. He seems like he is known, but I did not know him.
Yeah, I was like, those things I know of. Like, I mean, I've seen him in Crazy Rich Asians, obviously, but I didn't watch Superstore. But Superstore's a pretty big show. I don't know how big his part is.
I mean, his nomination was for Best Supporting Actor. So, I mean, probably good. He's probably decently in the cast,
Yeah, for sure. Something's going on with Noah's eyes.
Allergies, man. I get those dry itchy eyes. So I got to put the drip drips,
And then we got Billy Eichner. Noah, who's Billy Eichner?
So Billy Eichner is just a good guy. That's all. So
he doesn't really act like a good guy.
No, he usually plays like the loud, obnoxious person. He's been in a bunch of things. I've been a personal fan of his for a while. Probably his biggest claim to fame is being the voice of I think it was Timon or Pumbaa, I forgot, in like the weird looking Lion King. But I think his best production is Billy on a Street, where he would run around New York City and like just do this like man on the street bit of someone who's incredibly angry about like things in pop culture and people not knowing about them. It's hard to explain. I highly recommend watching it on YouTube. It's so good. Billy on a Street.
Yeah, it's got a shtick. You gotta like the shtick.
Yeah, he's definitely got a shtick.
And then we got Pete Holmes. So Noah, who's Pete Holmes?
He's a legit comedian. Like he's probably a top 20 comedian in the world, I'd say, like something like that. To ballpark it, but major specials, major shows he will sell out. Despite hitting on, he was selling out Oxnard a bunch in this episode. Oxnard, for people that don't know, it's like suburban Los Angeles. It's like the exurbs kind of. But yeah, I mean, his epitaph on Google, it's pretty short. Comedian, actor, writer, producer, podcaster. Musings on spirituality and religion.
He's one of us. He's a podcaster.
Tall. He's very tall. Him and Billy Eichner both are very tall. He is 6'6". Billy Eichner, I don't have his height, but like he's also around 6'6".
They looked very similar height in the show.
Yeah. very tall people, which you probably have a hard time trusting. But so Pete Holmes is 6'6".
Are you saying that we don't trust tall people, or you don't trust that they are very tall?
No, you just in general shouldn't trust tall people that much.
Do you not trust them, or should we not trust them?
I think people in general should be wary about them. Yeah.
Okay. So
They know
basketball
too much.
players. Basketball players.
They
can. They see a lot more like cleavage. They see a lot more like of your thinning hair. They got some extra knowledge you don't have. But you know what you do when you're short? You see a lot more nose hairs. You really.
Yeah, you do. It's not good. You wonder what people are doing. Yeah, it's really bad. And like people in their ear hair, people gotta pay attention to nose and ears. They gotta.
I don't really know how to deal with my ear hair. Like it just like it's a disaster.
You gotta look in the mirror and take a tweezer and go.
Right. Y'all just need a trimmer. Like you just need to get like the little buzzy thing, bzz, and then it's done.
See, I haven't found that to be as effective for ear hair, and then I'm like nervous. I'm like cut my Van Gogh my ear. Like I don't
What? We're talking like the little spinny thing that like kind of goes inside.
I think you're gonna Mike Tyson your ear.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it would be more like a Mike Tyson, but like, I just don't want to cut my ear, right? It's like sleep on it, like the tweezers. It's less likely to get a cut.
All right. Noah's primary purpose is he sleeps on it, not hears, sleeps on it.
Yeah, but if he cuts it, he can still hear, right? Unless you get the blood inside the ear, then you can hear the blood. That could be cool.
You're gonna be hearing weird for a while.
I mean, I guess of note, Billy Eichner did have a rom-com that came out last year called Bros that I did not watch. He starred in it. That would probably be his apex, because
I mean, he's got a good amount of stuff.
Like, yeah, I'm just saying. Like, he starred in his own movie, and I think he produced it. He did everything. Like,
he's been in a lot.
That's a lot.
And Pete Holmes hasn't been in that much, but he's done a lot of comedy. Like, he's very much a known comedian.
All right, so let's get to the show itself. So they have different segments of the show, and then they'll give prompts to the comedians, and the comedians make funnies. And sometimes the funnies are funny, and sometimes they're not funny. I think the first third of the show is not funny.
It definitely builds up. I agree. It doesn't start off hard.
Like, there's a recurring joke about Oxnard. So they introduced Pete Holmes as he's playing an Oxnard on Saturday or something. And, all the people in LA know immediately what the hell that means. I assumed it was some sort of small place somewhere. I thought it was outside New York, but I guess outside of LA makes sense.
Yeah, but it's weird. It's not even that rural. It's it's not that crazy. If you're driving around LA, you'll see on the highway, Oxnard.
Regardless, they refer back to this Oxnard thing, and it gets pretty funny. The Oxnard digs, I liked it. Thought it was funny.
It is really esoteric, though.
Yeah, I mean, I only laughed because of how the people reacted to the show. It's more of cultural osmosis through this show, what Oxnard is. But I'm not gonna look it up. I don't care where Oxnard is, but I liked the jokes they made about Oxnard, and that's good enough. So the first thing that they do is they say there's a prize for the winner. So they get points throughout the show, and it's kind of like Whose Line Is It Anyway, where the points don't really matter. Whatever, you win, you lose, it doesn't. Nothing really matters. But she has a haunted doll that she's going to give to the winner, and I thought that it definitely looks very creepy. It's a very creepy doll. I hope that doll just stays as the prize and no one takes it, because that's pretty good. And if somebody takes it, they need to get another haunted doll.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So one of the
like this whole show, it's like, and I think it's a lot of panel shows. Like, there's a lot of the ingredients that seem right, but then when they come together, sometimes it doesn't click.
Agreed. Like, there's just like some segments worked super
That's
fun.
okay.
And some segments are really not so fun. Like this first segment was like, what's going down in the group chat? And they talked about like the Super Bowl, and they had like some sort of share voicemail for Paul Giamatti. And they like brought up like pop culture things because the Super Bowl was happening this weekend. And like the jokes were forced and not very funny. And just like this whole segment, I didn't really appreciate. It was like, whatever. And then, but there was a segment on like, what's basically your whole deal, which was like, they showed this one TikToker and they were like, showed a couple of videos and they had to guess what this TikToker's real job was. And that segment was hilarious.
That was pretty good. Yeah.
I loved that segment because they were like, you know, she's an assassin and like, she's an assassin dancing. She legit like worked for the army as like a, you know, special, like a, what did they say? A PSYOP specialist.
Yeah.
Like,
PSYOP
you know,
specialist.
I thought that segment was great. That's when the show started to tick up, I think, for me.
Yeah. That was pretty good. Trying to think what it really picked up. Like, I don't like throughout the show, there were some really good quick hits. You know,
well, I can go through. I have some of the segments written down.
Oh,
What did you think of what did you think of Hashtag Wars, where they combined two movies together? Hashtag add a movie, ruin a movie.
I think if they gave them a little bit more time to prepare, that could have been better. But for how quickly the comedians thought on their feet, I got to give them a lot of credit.
Well, this is where I think that some of them might have been jokes from like writers. Some of them were pretty quick, but you also don't know how quick they were. You know, with the editing.
Right.
You know,
that's true.
So it's hard to tell, but I also just didn't like. It was so quick that the jokes like didn't get a chance to land very well, and they weren't very good jokes. They were like, I don't know, 2.5 Asians or something.
Yeah, I agree.
They just weren't like, they weren't very good. And this was like the second segment, and I'm like, oh man, how rough is this show gonna be? And then after that, we had the like TikTok segment. And then they had like this entourage segment where they showed a celebrity and they were like, who should be in their entourage? And the comedians had some really funny jokes for this one. For like Nick Cannon, they were like, he needs to have somebody that knows all his kids' names just in case they run into him. Like, that's a funny joke. Like, they had some really good jokes in that one.
Yeah.
But like some of them went over my head because I don't know who these celebrities are or their gossip because like don't really. I mean,
the Lisa Vanderpump one was good, just like having a gay guy just telling her she slays or something. You know, I was like, that's pretty good. You
know. The next segment was like on the bright side, where they showed a bunch of like fails from TikTok, and then like they were supposed to say something on the bright side. So, like, one of the ones I wrote down was on the bright side, his next bowel movement will smell like breakfast is ready. Yeah. When this was like some guy like chugged a whole thing of maple syrup like they did in Super Troopers.
Yeah, that's not. Oh, they did that in Super Troopers?
Yeah. Right, Brian?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they did it in Super Troopers.
And I think they legit did it too. Like, they talk about it in the commentary, or like I've seen them talk about it.
Oh my god!
I think they actually did it. Which, like, I understand how that's a fail. I understand how that's but the guy didn't fail. Like, he drank 98% of that maple syrup, and I'm like, dude, that guy's crushing it. He was like, I'm gonna chug this, and he chugs it. I didn't get the fail there.
I think they cut off before the actual fail, though.
You think so? Like, what I assume is going to happen is he chugs it and then he just like pukes it everywhere. But they didn't show that.
Yeah,
I
he
like
wasn't
that
looking
he's
too
like,
hot, and I think they cut it away so they
You know, I mean, you're not going to look too hot
no,
after you chug a whole thing of maple syrup.
no. I
Not
think
going
the
to
joke
lie.
in that was solid. He just discovered type 3 diabetes.
Yeah, that was like they had some great jokes to these.
Yeah.
Like, there was like I don't remember what the jokes were, but like I love seeing the video of you might have seen this video where some guy's on a forklift with a bunch of soda cans, and like the soda cans knock over, and like there's just cascading failure of soda cans all over the
That was
place,
nuts.
and it's like it's like
Oh.
3-story high thing of soda cans, and you're like, this is a fucking epic disaster. Like no bad, it's gonna take you. It's just so long to clean this up. Like it's like you've cost like a week's worth of work because it's gonna
I
take
could.
that long to clean up.
That was nuts. I
A
didn't know that
week?
was like a thing.
I've seen that video before. Yeah,
You have, man. Yeah, I was like, oh no.
yeah. You're lucky no one got hurt because like any
Oh,
of those
yeah.
things falls on anyone.
No, it's
people
terrible.
were running at the end.
Yeah, yeah. The video cuts off because the guy's just running.
Right, as you should. Like,
For you, you need to.
yes, very reasonable.
Although I do kind of want to have like empty soda cans raining down on me. I feel like you get a little bit of like bumps, but it wouldn't be that bad.
I mean, if they were empty, I mean, it wouldn't be terrible. But it's still aluminum. Like,
Yeah.
who knows? It's not like they have. It's not like it's like pillows. You know, there's some sharp edges. The next segment they had was defend why you follow somebody. So they brought up like all 3 comedians and who they follow. So they brought up like Billy Eichner, and he followed like some sort of acting advice account on
That was
Twitter,
great. Yeah,
and he
I
tried to
didn't see
defend
that.
it. And I think
Yeah.
he did a very poor job of defending this, but he still
Yeah.
got the points.
He just owned it. He owned it. Like,
Eh, I didn't like it. I didn't like it, and I was disappointed he got points.
see, I thought he did a very good job defending.
That's fine. You can think what you want to think.
Yeah.
And then they brought in Nick Santos. He followed Capital One, and I was like, well, he did a Capital One ad, and he's like, yeah, they paid me, so I followed them. I'm like, yep, that checks the boxes,
It was pretty good.
right? Like, end of story. And then Pete Holmes follows Billy Eichner, and he did an amazing job of like hyping up Billy Eichner and why he followed him. Like there's a picture of him just like flexing, and he was like Exhibit A. That was pretty funny. And like just the hype man. Like you need to hire Pete Holmes as your hype man. He was great. Like he needed to get like 2,000 points for that because he did a great job of defending why. Then there was a weird segment where there was a fake out handshake. I didn't understand that segment. You could cut that. Cut that. Cut that. Cut that. Cut that.
Yeah,
cut
that
Yeah.
was a little. That was dumb. I agree. That was kind of dumb. Kind of dumb.
Then there's 2 more segments. There was a what was I searching for segment where they like brought up like is it normal to blank, and then the comedians filled it in, and it was pretty good. Is it illegal to eat your victims? Was one of the prompts or whatever answers. That I thought that segment was great. I like that segment. And then there's like one more for the win, I believe. Yeah, there was like a for the win. So they kicked off Billy Eichner because he had the least amount of points. So only the 2 people could give an inspirational quote, and whoever the audience thought had the best inspirational Instagram quote was going to be the winner of the episode. So they had this video that like set up this segment, and it was like their Instagram quote was, "You can't please everyone. You're not a donut." And I feel like donuts pretty equal about like what pleases everyone. Like, almost everyone loves a donut.
Yeah, I actually like that line. I think I might want to incorporate that in my life.
Yeah, you should steal that. That's a
Be
great
the donut
corporate.
you want to be.
That's a great corporate line, though. You should definitely steal that for sure.
Yeah, you can't please everyone. You're not a donut. I'm just gonna say that and like trying to
It's a
cheer people up.
noism.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a great
donut.
line.
What are you doing?
And then the winner was Pete Holmes with "You can please everyone. You are a donut." There was a swear in there. I don't remember where it was, but that was the quote. And that was pretty funny
Yeah.
comparison to the actual quote.
Yeah.
I didn't write down Santos' line, but it was pretty good too. But that's kind of the minutia of the show. I thought the show, like the first couple segments were, stinkers, and then the last were pretty funny. I had a good time.
Yeah.
I would say
was
for the
solid,
beginning, like it was kind of fun to be self-deprecating. They even like roasted the host where it's like, oh yeah, I'm here with two people on the show and I with a prompt that I don't even understand. That was all right.
Yeah, it was all right. Exactly.
It was very playful. Like I think playful, and they brought a good energy, similar to last week. Also good energy, but I think Chrissy hit on it. Like it's unclear how much like, we're getting some of like Highwood level writers on this show, and how much that plays versus definitely they're not having writers on last week's show.
Oh yeah, if they had writers on last week's show, whew,
Yeah.
I know who should be fired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Should we get into questions? Should we do it?
Let's
Let's do it.
question.
Let's get some drinking rules for this show because I think we need some drinking rules. Every time you laugh, take a drink. If you really want to get drunk, every time a joke fails, take a drink. Brian?
Every time you see something on there that you've already seen on the internet, you need to finish your drink.
Well, Noah, you got one?
Yeah. Every time they make a gay joke, take a drink.
There's two gay people on this episode.
Yes.
Probably not a frequent joke made.
Probably not, but if you're watching this episode, there was a lot of not like harassing gay humor, but there's two gay guys making jokes about gay culture. Like it played a significant role in this show.
So every time there's a fake handshake, drink, and then for every subsequent fake handshake, drink more.
Oh, I hope that doesn't come back.
Every time.
You don't think that's a regular segment? I feel like that's a regular segment on the show.
I know that she's going to do something like that on every show. I hope it's not that.
I think, instead of drinking every time a joke fails, you should just drink when Taylor Tomlinson makes a poor joke that's written for her. I feel like that happens a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Would the show be better as a Quibi or a TikTok? And I think the show would be better as a TikTok. Like, take the good segments, put it in a TikTok. That's how I'd watch the show. Like TikToks now are like 3 minutes long. These segments are like minute to 3 minutes. If the segment's longer than 3 minutes, I don't really want to watch it anyway.
Yeah.
Brian, what do you think?
Yeah.
Brian?
I think it's easily broken apart. I like that. For game changers as well, you could easily break them apart and make a quick ad. Like you could do the same here and getting people invested.
No, what do you think?
So I agree. This is definitely better as a TikTok. That said, a lot of the jokes are callbacks, and so you might not get as much content out of it, right? You're gonna have to maybe do some editing to make the callbacks.
Yeah, you have to edit around the callbacks and stuff. I mean, there was definitely some editing where people like gained or lost, like gained points. I'm like, that's not how many points he had last second.
I thought I noticed that
No.
too, and I was like, I was eating lunch while I was watching this, and I was like, oh, maybe I just missed something.
No, there was definitely like a point where Billy Eichner had like 500 points, and then the next time he had like 9,200. I'm like, how'd you just get those points?
Yeah, I thought something happened. I saw that with Nico, and I'm like,
Look, I think it's a blessing. Like, I don't need to see. It's not. This isn't Jeopardy. Like, just show me the jokes. I don't need to see the bombed jokes that got them points. Like, that's fine.
yeah.
You know, like edit the show down to what you need it to be. Like, make it funnier. You know,
Mhm. Yeah. I'm with you.
would the show be better if everyone was naked?
Maybe.
I mean, Taylor Tomlinson.
Yeah, Billy Eichner, as we saw, very good shape.
Yeah. There's a lot of dudes though in this show. I don't know. I like dude comedians. Not the best looking bunch out there. I'm just saying.
Brian and I
what do
will
you
enjoy the 4 men and women nudity. I'm throwing you in, Brian. You're in.
You're in, Brian. Brian, what do you love about this show?
I like that there were better jokes. I like that it felt unscripted, even though it was probably pretty scripted.
I don't know if it's pretty scripted, but there's probably some pre-written jokes for some of the comedians.
I think I'll phrase it. I think they wrote their own jokes prior, but I think probably they're like, hey, we might do this like 2 movie thing clash together. Like, prepare for that.
Yeah, those were certainly written. Who wrote them? I don't know. Like, was it Pete Holmes? Was it Pete Holmes' own writers? Was it After Midnight writers? I assume it would be like After Midnight has like a bunch of things and, you can pick or you can write your own. I don't know. I don't really know. I assume After Midnight has a bunch of joke writers on staff. But like,
they have a bunch of writers. Like when you look at the credits, they got writers.
Yeah, these 3 people are professional comedians though, and the best parts are like the off the cuff like callbacks and like calling each other out, and those certainly were not written. Like the whole show is not written.
Yeah.
No, what do you love about the show?
And pretty similar talked about. They got some bangers in there. It's very lighthearted. I think like a lot of late shows, they don't take themselves too seriously. And they're bringing on good talent. Like these are real comedians. They sell shows. People go see them. They're in movies, and whatnot. And yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, I love that. These are real comedians that are really funny, and it gives like a medium for people to be funny, and like in a way, like whereas like you don't have to have like 30 minutes of a stand up, to be funny. You could just be on this like make fun of a video funny, and because not that many people need like I don't need to see 30-minute like sets of people, right? Like I just see somebody make fun of somebody else, and that's I can enjoy that,
Yep.
So that's what I love about the show. How fast do you think Max would have watched this show?
I think 1x. I think it's too fast to increase it.
Yeah, I was like debating too, because I'm like, obviously, we know he's a speed demon, but at the same time,
like it's definitely gonna.
It's not slow,
Yeah, I think that he would have watched it at 1.5 just because the beginning of the show wasn't very good. He was like, "Ugh, I gotta speed this thing up," and he would have sped it up. But like, if the beginning was good, I think he would have watched it at 1, or maybe he would have slowed it back down. Who knows? Max, we
Yeah.
miss you. Not that you're listening to this, but we missed you. All right, so we do a rating system where we do a stack rankings between top, middle, and bottom third. Brian, what do you got for me?
I think I gotta put this top of the or bottom of the top. I just think that it was better than Game Changers, and I would be willing to check out more of this, more than I would Game Changers. Although I have already have checked out more of it.
Oh, you have?
Oh. Wait, more of this or
Oh,
more
yeah.
of Game Changers?
Game Changers.
Oh, more.
Like I wanted to see if there was like any. Yeah, because
Well,
we
let's
saw one
talk about that
episode and every
after.
promises. Yep.
Let's talk about that after ratings. Noah, what do you got for me?
Yep.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go similar to Brian. Bottom of the top. Like, this was enjoyable. As I mentioned, I watched this over lunch. It was perfectly enjoyable to watch over lunch. I don't think I would like watch this really willingly too much. But if there was like some like you mentioned like TikToks or like it happened to be on, I wouldn't be upset. You know?
You'd stop to scroll. You'd watch it.
Yeah. So yeah, bottom of the top. I do think, they're pretty early, right? So we watched episode 15. I think they're up to like episode 30 or 40. It's like they're figuring out their rhythm. I think this is a lot of opportunity to get really tight. Like I can see like by episode 50 to 100, like they're hitting a stride and becomes really great.
Not many shows get to episode 100, so I hope you're getting your stride by then.
I mean, but
I know
they're
it's
shows like all the time, right?
I know. It's like a daily show, so like
Yeah.
it's like a Monday through Thursday show or something. So yeah, you're gonna get to episode 100 pretty quick. So yeah, I agree. You know what? I'm gonna agree with both of you. I'm gonna put it in bottom of the top. I don't think I'd seek it out more, but it was funny. I can't say that about many shows we watch on this for this podcast. So that's where it goes. Bottom of the top. Brian, tell us more about your Game Changer journey. Tell us what you thought, audience member, about this show on Twitter at Who With This On for our poll for next week. Brian, tell us more about Game Changers.
Yeah, so me and Katie have been checking out some of the episodes from season 1, and see, like episode 1, it's okay. See, episode 2 was much better. Like, but they all have like different premises to them, and some of them work, some of them don't. I think every comedy episode is going to be like that, though. Like, not everyone's going to be funny of them.
I think
yeah,
so. I saw a couple YouTube shorts, and there was a Simon Says episode, and that episode I saw multiple clips from, and they all looked hilarious.
Interesting.
Like that'd be the episode I'd be.
Simon Says.
What?
Like, is the whole episode like they got to say Simon Says or
no? The host says like Simon says you do something, and if he says like it's just like he'll say like give me what's the capital of Texas? Oh, I didn't say Simon Says. But like the people like what's his face Darren or whatever's not on the show, and like the comedians are pretty funny. The clip I saw was like they just had like a mannequin fall from the sky, and that was funny. Like, but like the 30 seconds funny. That doesn't necessarily mean the 45 minutes of the show is funny, So that's the episode I'd be interested in watching.
Same with this show. All 40 minutes were not funny.
No, I agree, but I laughed this week. That's all I gotta say. You can't have 40 minutes of nothing. Like you can have parts of the show be nothing, but like the whole thing's got to have some comedy to it. That's just my only. So normally I do shout outs now. So I actually watched a new episode of Naked Attraction. If you haven't been listening forever, we did Naked Attraction, I don't know, like 8 years ago or something, when it was on season 1 in the UK. They're currently, I don't know, season 6, I think. And it's such an interesting show. Like, you can listen to our podcast. It's still pretty good. It's like very judgy. Like, it's like the judgment of the show. But the one
Yeah.
big improvement was, instead of, they just like reduced one person from the like panel of people you have to get rid of and removed like the ankle section of the show. Like, we watched an episode where you had to remove somebody based on like their feet. And you're like, that was really like, to remove someone from by their feet is real judgy. Like, I understand, judging people on their genitals probably not the best either, but like, the whole show is interesting. If you want to see real people being real naked, that's a show to watch.
Real people being real naked.
Brian, do you have any shout outs this week?
But like, you're not even watching them being real naked. I mean, like, they're naked, but you can't. You don't see them. You don't know them. Right?
No, but
Like, blurry.
they're naked on TV. There's no blurring.
Kind of.
There's
Naked
no blurring
and
in Naked Attraction.
Oh, naked and try. Oh,
Noah.
Sorry.
Naked and Afraid,
Naked.
yeah, they're blurred. But Naked Attraction, that's the show I was talking about. There's no judging on Naked and Afraid. They're just out in the wilderness being idiots. Like, I don't get that show. But
Got it.
Naked Attraction, if you want to judge people's
Yeah,
genitals,
sorry.
that's a show to watch.
Yeah. This must
Brian,
have been
any shout outs this week?
Sorry, wait, hold on. This must have been in like the BIC era. I don't remember this. I think this was.
No,
BIC.
you weren't here. This is the original 5 or original 4. Like, as I said, it's been like a long time ago we did this. Brian wasn't on the podcast.
Yeah.
I think Max is the original OG member. He was on the podcast, but it was like Rob and Harrison and James. You should listen to the episode.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
What happened to those guys? Yeah.
That's a good question. Good question, Noah.
I wonder if they talk on the internet.
They don't want a
still.
podcast.
Maybe without us.
Maybe.
One day.
Brian, do you have any shout outs?
I'll shout out that new Taskmaster tomorrow, but also like they're doing like a bunch of like promos like within the US. They were the host Greg and Alex were on Seth Meyers' late night show the other night. Seemed to be pretty good. They also showed like some stuff in like a New York comedy club.
Okay.
Noah, you have any shout outs?
Nothing new. Like, we're on season 2 of Suits, so like we're buckling up and we're diving in on Suits. It's enjoyable. I'll give like a weird shout out. So I've shouted this out several times on our show. The podcast Acquired. The latest episode they do Hermes. Actually, I don't even know if it's the latest one. I'm listening to it. It's like really weird. They're like super into Hermes. Like, they really love it. And it's like, it's kind of weird how much they're gaga over this company. I just found it to be weird. It's like too much. So in general, shout out for Acquired, but too much, guys. Too much on Hermes. Too much.
All right. Well, that's it for us this week. Tell us what you thought about the show at Who Put This On. And you can find us on Facebook.com. You can email us questions and suggestions at whoputthison@gmail.com. And we'll see you guys next time.